A cable car crash in Italy kills 2 British tourists. They were among 5 passengers aboard the carriage when a cable snapped, causing them to fall nearly 100 feet. Those in other carriages felt the jolt.
When we were inside, we didn't understand what had happened. There was a bit of a jump of about 5 or 10 metres, like a roller coaster. We waited 15 minutes and then went down in the harness.
Also tonight, America threatens to abandon Ukraine peace talks within days. A teaching union says 2 in 5 teachers have been physically abused in the classroom. And
200 to 1!
The 200 to 1 outsider that's joined a handful of horses to beat racing's longest odds.
This is ITV News with Lucy Watson.
Good evening. 2 British tourists have been confirmed among the 4 victims of a fatal cable car crash in Italy. The car plummeted 100 feet to the ground after a cable snapped on the line up a mountain near Naples. Police say the other victims were an Israeli woman and the Italian operator of the vehicle. Another man is in a critical condition in hospital. Tonight, Italian prosecutors have opened an investigation into possible manslaughter, as Olivia Guthrie reports.
This was an unimaginable, unforeseeable tragedy, according to the company that runs this Mountain View ride just south of Naples. A supporting cable snapping yesterday afternoon as the car was over a deep drop near the top of Mount Fato. The Foreign Office says they're in contact with local authorities after it was revealed 2 British people are among 4 dead. A 5th is in a stable but serious condition in hospital.
One person who was still alive was stabilised by our medic within the team. We alerted emergency medical services and the helicopter was dispatched.
Moments before it happened, tourists in a second cable car on the line filmed the view. They remained unaware of the tragedy further up the mountain as rescuers strapped harnesses to the children first, before winching them to safety on the ground below.
When we were inside, we didn't understand what had happened. There was a bit of a jump of about 5 or 10 metres, like a roller coaster. We waited 15 minutes and then went down in the harness.
A similar tragedy 4 years ago took place on a different line in northern Italy, when another cable snapped, another emergency brake failed, another car fell. 14 people died and a child was seriously injured. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, meeting US Vice President J.D. Vance in Rome today, has expressed her condolences to the families of the victims. Prosecutors have opened a multiple manslaughter and culpable disaster investigation. The operator insists they carried out all the required safety conditions, but the local mayor says brakes meant to hold the cable car in place clearly didn't work. Olivia Guthrie, ITV News.
The US Secretary of State has threatened to give up on trying to achieve peace between Ukraine and Russia. Marco Rubio warned today that unless there are clear signs in the next few days that a ceasefire can be reached, the United States would move on. He said the US has other priorities to focus on. Now, in the last few minutes, President Trump said he backed Marco Rubio's words, but he remains hopeful of reaching a truce. Here's Martha Fairley.
There is still no sign from Russia that it is looking for a peace deal. Instead, Moscow has been ramping up its attacks on civilian targets in Ukraine. This fire in the city of Mykolaiv, the result of a drone strike on warehouses overnight. While in Sumy, one person was killed in an attack on a bakery producing cakes for Easter. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has been in Paris meeting with British, European and Ukrainian delegations. But after talks concluded, he warned the White House could be ready to abandon further attempts to broker peace.
The president has spent 87 days at the highest level of his government repeatedly taking efforts to bring this war to an end. We are now reaching a point where we need to decide and determine whether this is even possible or not, which is why we're engaging both sides. So if they're serious about peace, either side or both, we want to help. If it's not going to happen, then we're just going to move on.
Separately, Ukraine's economy minister confirmed a memorandum giving the US access to Ukraine's mineral resources has been signed. The deal, yet to be finalised, will involve the creation of an investment fund for the reconstruction of Ukraine. This evening, President Trump confirmed he's losing patience with the peace process.
If for some reason one of the two parties makes it very difficult, we're just going to say you're foolish, you're fools, you're horrible people, and we're going to just take a pass. But hopefully we won't have to do that. No, Marco is right in saying it. We want to see it end.
President Trump had boasted he would bring the war in Ukraine to an end in just 24 hours. But the bombs are still falling, and the people of Ukraine still bearing the heavy cost of this war. Martha Fairley, ITV News.
Well, meanwhile, Donald Trump has revealed that his second state visit to the UK is being planned for September. The US president is the only elected political leader in modern times to be invited to 2 state visits by a British monarch. Well, our political correspondent, Shihab Khan, is at Buckingham Palace. Mr. Trump expecting the full red carpet treatment, no doubt, Shihab.
Yeah, absolutely. Given that the United States is our closest ally, that is exactly what you think would happen if he were to come. It's important to note that while the president seems to suggest that trip could happen around September, nothing has been confirmed yet. Downing Street or the palace haven't confirmed or denied that trip happening, simply because there's often a lot of conversation that takes place before a lot of organising that needs to be done. What we do know is when the Prime Minister Keir Starmer visited the White House earlier this year, he did hand President Trump a written invitation from King Charles to come and visit. This is a very unique situation, as you already touched upon. President Trump did make a state visit when he was president last time round. He was hosted by the then monarch Queen Elizabeth. The red carpet was rolled out, and by all measure he had a very good time. Usually the custom is that a second-term president doesn't get a second state visit. If they're invited, they have lunch or tea with the monarch. This is very different because President Trump has been elected twice in 2 different terms. Now, he was asked about whether or not this trip was going to happen, and he seems rather positive.
It's an honor to be, I'm a friend of Charles. I have great respect for King Charles and the family. I don't know how it can be bigger than the last one. The last one was, as you know, was incredible. But they say it's going to be even more important. So it's a great honor to be so chosen.
And last time he was here, there were a lot of protests when he arrived in London and across the United Kingdom, and there are concerns that that might happen again if he were to arrive.
Shihab at Buckingham Palace, thank you. A man has died whilst attempting to cross the English Channel on a small boat. The RNLI and UK Border Force were called to a medical emergency on the vessel, and the passengers were brought to Dover. Kent police have opened an investigation into the death. Wiltshire police say people taking photographs of a huge fire at a First World War airfield on Thursday stopped fire crews doing their jobs. A hangar was completely destroyed in the blaze at the Grade 2 listed Old Sarum airfield in Salisbury. A teaching union is warning that violence and abuse by students against teachers is on the rise. A survey done by the NASUWT and its members says almost half of teachers say they have been punched, kicked, shoved or spat at by pupils in the last year. At its annual conference in Liverpool today, the union called for the government to step up and help tackle what it sees as a growing crisis. Caroline Lewis has more.
One of the worst situations has been trapped in a classroom with a number of 15-year-old boys who wouldn't let you out of the door. It was absolutely terrifying.
Wendy Exton was diagnosed with PTSD after being abused by the children she was trying to educate.
It went on for it must have been about 10 minutes, and what ended it was break time. And they wanted to go out.
She's one of a growing number of teachers finding themselves on the front line in the classroom. According to the NASUWT, 4 in 5 teachers say that the number of pupils exhibiting violent and abusive behaviours has increased. 2 in 5 say they've personally experienced it in the last 12 months. And the union estimates there have been 30,000 violent incidents against teachers involving pupils with a weapon in the past year.
What we're calling for is for the government to put together an interagency panel chaired by MPs and ministers to look at addressing this issue across the board. Schools are not in a position to tackle all of the issues that are leading to this escalation of bad behaviour in schools.
In response, the government said it had inherited a broken system, adding, "Our plan for change places a relentless focus on giving every child the best start, no matter their background, including establishing free breakfast clubs in every primary school, proven to improve behaviour, attendance, attainment, well-being and readiness to learn." A plan for change, which is certainly needed for both teachers and children. Caroline Lewis, ITV News.
Millions of people could face disruption to their Easter travel plans this weekend because of engineering works, strike action, heavy traffic and even possible flooding. Graham Stothard is at London's Euston Station for us. Graham, the Easter bank holiday is always busy. What do travellers need to watch out for specifically this year?
Yeah, as you say, possibilities of delays on the roads, on the trains, but also at airports and seaports as well. As always, the advice is to check before you travel. But let's have a quick look at what people going somewhere may expect this weekend. And we'll start off with trains because London Euston Station is going to be closed for the entirety of the weekend. No services in or out. Network Rail say they have over 300 different engineering projects happening across the country. On the roads, Highways England say they've removed over 1,000 miles worth of roadworks, but there still may be traffic hotspots on parts of the M6, on parts of the M25, but also on the A303 through Wiltshire. Now, if you're going abroad, first of all, lucky you. Second of all, P&O ferries have warned that there might be some extended waiting times at the port of Dover. That's just due to the general busyness of the season. There's also some ongoing strike action at Gatwick Airport. That might have an effect on some flights. On top of all this, the Met Office has warned that there might be some flooding in the southwest tomorrow morning. But of course, let's just hope everyone gets to where they need to be in time to enjoy some well-earned chocolate.
Graham, thank you very much indeed. Sport now, and it turned out to be a very good Friday for rookie horse Heavenly Heather and the punters who backed her at Newcastle today. The outsider defied long odds of 200 to 1 to go into the British flat racing history books. Here's Chris Scudder.
Not many saw this coming, least of all the bookies. In her maiden season, Heavenly Heather had never got close to a win. Then this.
Heavenly Heather from miles out of the weights wins for Tracy Waggett and Amy Waff. 200 to 1.
And that gave jockey Amy Waff the joint longest priced winner in the long history of British flat racing.
Well, days like this, you know, everyone wants to even just get rides and just be involved in it, but to have a win, especially something that price as well, it makes it all worth it.
This is a massive shock.
One bookie says they took 400 single bets on the horse. That's one very happy Easter for trainer Tracy Waggett.
But before today, what have you had any big outsiders like this?
Yeah, Rector and that, 50s to 1 and 100 to 1.
Heather, my mum, she died a year ago and she named the horse just before she passed away.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Well, she's had a few quid on in the betting shop in the sky.
I hope so. I certainly have, so I'm very happy.
Truly a heaven-sent victory on Easter weekend. Chris Scudder, ITV News.
A fantastic result. Now, finally, one of the worst kept secrets in Hollywood is officially out. Disney has confirmed that Ryan Gosling will star in the next Star Wars film.
That rumor is 100% true.
Gosling appeared alongside director Sean Levy at an event in Tokyo, where they revealed that Star Wars Starfighter, as it'll be called, will start filming later this year. It will be released in cinemas in May 2027. That is it from me for now. We're back with more at 10:30. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.